Okay, so we've made it to part 2 of the arraignment series. In this part, we'll be creating the courtroom, or more or less the furniture for the courtroom. It's a fairly simple process. The first thing we're going to do is snap the cursor to the world origin. To do this, you'll go to the top, click Object in Object Mode, scroll down to Snap, and then down to Cursor to World Origin. Shift A, Mesh Q to create a cube, S to scale, we're going to scale it down. Go in the top view with numpad 7, tab into edit mode, Control R, and then G twice to slide it up, 3, face select mode, numpad 3, extrude up on the Z axis to create the back of the chair. Select the bottom faces, and then GZ to slide them up. We're trying to make a backwards L shape. Grab the front face, G, and then Y to slide it on the Y axis. And then tab back into object mode, add a modifier, click the wrench, go down to subsurface, increase to 2. We're going to create loop cuts to sharpen up the edges of this chair. So one at the top, one on the left side, one in the middle, one for the bottom, and we're going to do a loop cut on the back end, slide it to the left, then another loop cut, slide it to the right. We're just making edges for this chair when we need one at the top coming down. Shift Alt select this top edge and bring it down just a little bit because we don't want it completely sharp. We want it kind of rounded at the top. Shift A, create another cube. GZ to slide it on the Z axis. S to scale it down. SZ to scale it on the Z axis. SX to slide it on the X to make it thinner. We're going to put it on the side. These will be the arms of the chair. We're just going to place it right on the corner of this chair. Go in the side view. We're going to scale it on the Y axis, make it a little bit longer. Then go into X-ray mode at the top. We're just scaling this and come out of X-ray mode. Now we're going to Shift D to duplicate, slide it on the X axis so that it's parallel to the armrest, and then scale it down so that it's a smaller version of the rectangle. Scale it on the X axis to make it thicker, and then move it so that it splits the armrest. Select the armrest and then click Add Modifier. We're going to add a Boolean modifier. Use the dropper to select the cube that's splitting the armrest. And make sure that it's selected on Difference and then Apply. Select the cube that's splitting the armrest, X and delete. And it should have made a nice little window-like structure. It's really the armrest for the chair. We're going to slide it down on the Z axis. So it's kind of a square shape. And I'm just moving this down so that it's kind of lined up with the X-axis and the Y. And then right-click Shade Smooth. Add a mirror modifier. Grab the dropper and select the cushion. And it should mirror it across the cushion. Apply our mirror modifier. And then we're going to apply our subsurface. And then save. And now we have a chair. Select the cushion and the arms, and we're going to Shift D to duplicate. So we have 2 chairs, Do it again. We're going to slide it on the x-axis so that we have 3 chairs. And then we're going to select all 3. M, name this chairs. We're going to select the first chair on the side, duplicate it. Now we have 4 chairs. M, and put it in the chair collection. And then I went on and saved it. I'm going to select all of the chairs, Control A, apply all transforms. Select the first chair and turn on the judge collection. Select the chair collection and right click. Go to select objects so it selects all the chairs. We're going to scale it down so that it's proportional to the judge's bench. So I'm scaling it down so that you can still see the back of the chair from where the witness would testify. It's the thought process behind the size of these chairs. Hide the judge bench. Select the 3 chairs on the end and H to hide. We're just going to work with 1 chair. So now I'm going to turn the judge's bench back on. And you can see from the top view, it's kind of hard to see since it's all the same color. And then I'm going to go Object, Set Origin to Geometry so that the geometry is in the center. And you don't really want to move it unless you're in a top view. So I'm just adjusting it so that it looks like it's facing forward at an angle. So it's just sliding around to figure out where I have to be to get this chair the right direction. So it's just playing with it and adjusting it until it looks right. And I discovered if I put it on wireframe, it makes it exponentially easier to figure out whether it's facing the right way. So I'm going to select the chair again and just rotate it. Turn off X-ray view. And that looks good enough. Go back into solid view. That's a pretty decent looking chair. So Alt H to unhide the other chairs. We'll hide the judges. We're going to select the middle 2 chairs. Hide them. We're going to just use the one on the end. Turn the judge's bench back on. Back into wireframe. Object. Set origin to geometry. Rotate it. Alt H to unhide the other 2 chairs. Hide the judge's bench. Select middle right chair. GX to move it over randomly out the way. Select the middle chair. Unhide the judge's bench. This is going to be the judge's chair. The back view, we're going to do GZ. Slide it up. Front view, we want it kind of like the other chairs where you can kind of see the back of the chair over the bench. And it's kind of floating right now, but no one should see the back side of this, so it should be okay. So top view, I'm going to grab the chair that I pushed all the way out, and I'm going to put it in front of the judge's bench. Object, set origin, origin to geometry. Rotate 180 degrees so that it's facing the opposite way. It's facing the judge. 3 to go in the side view. GY to slide it further back. Top view. Shift left click in front of the chair to move the cursor. And then Shift A to add a cube. Scale it on the x-axis and then scale it down. This is going to be the table. So scale it on the y and then the x. And just kind of slide it over and back. In the side view, we're going to scale it way down on the z-axis so that it's thin, and then GZ to slide it up. That's the tabletop. Select the chair, Shift D to duplicate and slide it over, just in case we have a lawyer for our defendant. So just kind of use your scroll wheel to scroll underneath. Alright, so tab in the edit mode. We're going to add loop cuts, Control R, and then we're just use the scroll wheel until it's up a bunch. In the end, I end up doing 12 loop cuts, and then do loop cuts on the opposite end as well. It looks like I settled with 5 loop cuts horizontal. We're going to go underneath and go into face select mode. This is going to be the legs of the table. So we select these faces, the corners, and then extrude it on the z-axis. And that looks good enough. Tab in the object mode, top view, Shift A, we're going to add a cube. Now we're going to make the benches. So scale this on the x-axis, scale it on the y, G and then X. Go to the side view, scale it on the z-axis so that it's thin as well. Tab in the edit mode and add a loop cut in the middle and slide it all the way to the back. 3 to face select, E to extrude on the Z, and now it has a back. Select it all and G, Z, slide it on the Z axis. Tab in the object mode, Control A, all transforms. Object, set origin to geometry. Shift A, add another cube, scale on the x-axis to make it thinner. G and then X to move it over to the corner. This is another armrest. Scale on the z-axis and move it up. Go in the side view, move it down, and then scale it on the y-axis so that it's thinner. Scale it on the x. Put it closer. We're going to select the armrest, add a mirror modifier, grab the dropper and select the bench. That way it mirrors it across the bench. On the side view, I'm going to scale it on the y-axis to make it longer. And it should look something like this. So we select everything. Once you think it looks like a nice enough bench, we're going to scale it down so that it's appropriate size to the scene. And then you go in the side view and slide it down. Add an array. Increase the count to 3. Factor should be 1. Y. We're going to put it at 2.2. Select all the objects of a bench. Control J to join all of the objects together. And now your array is affecting 3 benches. So I'm going to change the X to 0 and then the Y to 1.8. And then apply the array. And Shift D and slide it on the x-axis, X. We're moving it over. Select your chairs and bench. Shift D duplicate, slide that in front of the other side of the bench, making two sides, the defense and the plaintiffs. So just maybe on the corner here. A little bit in closer at the top. This is just positioning the benches. Okay, and now we have our courtroom furniture. Go into the top view. We're going to Shift A, add a cube, scale it on the Y axis, scale it on the X axis. We're going to scale it on the Z so that it's thinner. This is just separating our defendant from the audience. Or the galley, I guess is what you call it. I'm not all the way sure about this court lingo. So scaling it, GX to slide it over. We'll make it a little bit behind our defendant. Shift D to duplicate. Slide it over to our plaintiff side. And that's going to be our tutorial. Next up, I believe we're making characters. So stay tuned. If you really like what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. If you need help, always will help. Just let me know in the comments. Till next time.